In this podcast episode, Paul Saladino, a prominent figure in the health and nutrition space, dives deep into the pitfalls of modern diets, the dangers of processed foods, and the pervasive influence of big food companies. His insights challenge conventional wisdom and encourage listeners to rethink their dietary choices. Saladino begins by addressing the alarming prevalence of processed foods in the modern diet. He emphasizes that many of these foods are engineered to be hyper-palatable, meaning they are designed to be irresistibly tasty, often at the expense of nutritional value. This hyper-palatability can lead to overconsumption, as people find it difficult to stop eating these foods once they start. Saladino points out that the ingredients in processed foods often include additives and preservatives that are not only unnecessary, but potentially harmful to health. He further explains that the rise of processed foods correlates with an increase in chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. The convenience of these foods has made them staples in many households, but Saladino argues that this convenience comes with a significant cost to public health. He urges listeners to be vigilant about what they consume and to prioritize whole, unprocessed foods that are more aligned with human nutritional needs. Saladino delves into the influence of big food companies on dietary guidelines and public health. He argues that these corporations have a vested interest in promoting processed foods, often through aggressive marketing and lobbying efforts. Saladino highlights the troubling relationship between these companies and government agencies like the FDA, USDA, and NIH, suggesting that these organizations have been captured by corporate interests. This capture leads to dietary guidelines that favor processed foods over whole foods, perpetuating a cycle of poor health. He also discusses the financial implications of this relationship, noting that taxpayers ultimately bear the burden of healthcare costs associated with diet-related diseases. The podcast emphasizes the need for reform in how food is regulated and marketed, advocating for a return to a focus on real, nutrient-dense foods that support health rather than profit margins. One of the common misconceptions Saladino addresses is the idea that low-fat diets are inherently healthier. He explains that this belief originated from flawed research linking dietary fat to heart disease. Saladino argues that healthy fats, particularly those found in animal products, are essential for optimal health. He points out that fat is a crucial macronutrient that supports hormone production, brain function, and overall energy levels. Saladino encourages listeners to embrace healthy fats, such as those found in grass-fed meats, avocados, and nuts, while avoiding processed fats like seed oils. He explains that seed oils, which are prevalent in many processed foods, can lead to inflammation and other health issues. By shifting the focus back to healthy fats, individuals can improve their overall health and well-being. Throughout the podcast, Saladino emphasizes the nutritional benefits of animal foods, particularly red meat. He argues that red meat is a nutrient-dense food that provides essential vitamins and minerals, including B12, iron, and zinc. These nutrients are often lacking in plant-based diets, which can lead to deficiencies and health problems. Saladino challenges the narrative that red meat is harmful, asserting that it can be part of a healthy diet when sourced from quality animals. He also discusses the role of organ meats, which are often overlooked in modern diets. Saladino advocates for the consumption of organ meats, such as liver, which are rich in nutrients and can provide significant health benefits. He encourages listeners to incorporate these foods into their diets to enhance their nutritional intake and overall health. Saladino addresses the pervasive issue of sugar in the modern diet, highlighting its role in the obesity epidemic and other chronic diseases. He explains that sugar is not inherently bad, but becomes problematic when consumed in excess, particularly in its processed forms. The rise of sugary beverages and snacks has led to increased sugar consumption, which can disrupt metabolic health and contribute to insulin resistance. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the difference between natural sugars found in whole foods, such as fruits, and added sugars found in processed foods. Saladino encourages listeners to be mindful of their sugar intake and to prioritize whole, unprocessed foods that provide natural sugars along with essential nutrients. A significant portion of the discussion revolves around seed oils, which Saladino argues are detrimental to health. He explains that seed oils, such as canola, soybean, and corn oil, are highly processed and contain high levels of omega-6 fatty acids. These oils can promote inflammation and contribute to various health issues, including heart disease and metabolic disorders. Saladino urges listeners to avoid seed oils and instead opt for healthier fats, such as olive oil, coconut oil, and animal fats. He emphasizes that the quality of fats consumed is crucial for overall health and that making informed choices can lead to better health outcomes. Saladino highlights the critical role of sleep in overall health and well-being. He explains that inadequate sleep can lead to a host of health issues, including weight gain, decreased cognitive function, and increased risk of chronic diseases. Saladino encourages listeners to prioritize sleep hygiene by establishing a consistent sleep schedule and creating a conducive sleep environment. He also discusses the impact of technology on sleep, particularly the use of screens before bedtime. The blue light emitted by devices can disrupt circadian rhythms and make it more difficult to fall asleep. Saladino advocates for reducing screen time in the evening and creating a calming bedtime routine to improve sleep quality. The podcast also addresses the use of artificial sweeteners, which are often marketed as healthier alternatives to sugar. Saladino argues that these sweeteners can have negative effects on gut health and metabolic function. He explains that while they may reduce calorie intake, they can also disrupt the body's natural response to sweetness and lead to cravings for more sugar. Saladino encourages listeners to be cautious with artificial sweeteners and to consider the potential long-term effects of their consumption. He advocates for a return to natural sweeteners, such as honey or maple syrup, in moderation, rather than relying on artificial alternatives. Saladino discusses the growing body of research linking diet to mental health. He explains that the foods we consume can significantly impact our mood, cognitive function, and overall mental well-being. Diets high in processed foods and sugar have been associated with increased rates of depression and anxiety, while diets rich in whole foods and nutrients can support mental health. He emphasizes the importance of a balanced diet that includes a variety of nutrient-dense foods to support brain health. Saladino encourages listeners to be mindful of their dietary choices and to consider the potential impact on their mental well-being. The podcast touches on the role of government in regulating food and dietary guidelines. Saladino argues that government agencies have been influenced by big food companies, leading to guidelines that promote processed foods over whole foods. He calls for reform in how food is regulated and marketed, advocating for a return to a focus on real nutrient-dense foods. Saladino emphasizes the need for transparency in food labeling and marketing, urging consumers to be informed about what they are eating. He believes that empowering individuals with knowledge about nutrition can lead to better health outcomes and a shift away from processed foods. In closing, Saladino expresses optimism for the future of nutrition and health. He believes that as more people become aware of the dangers of processed foods and the benefits of whole foods, there will be a shift in dietary habits. He encourages listeners to take charge of their health by making informed choices and prioritizing nutrient-dense foods. Saladino's message is clear. The path to better health lies in understanding the impact of food on our bodies and making conscious choices that support our well-being. By challenging the status quo and advocating for real food, he hopes to inspire a movement toward healthier eating and living.